Lovely stuff. So, let me just, uh, I have replied to everybody. Cool. So, oh, we've got something in the chat. Oh, don't worry, Emily, you're fine. So I was like, "Who's the iPad? Have we got someone sneaking in on me?" Right. Sorry, guys, I wasn't sharing. Let me just show you. Cool. So. Q&A is standard. Like I said, if anything crops up in your brain or anything that you think of, feel free to ask. This is an open community and open discussion today. But there is some interesting questions. So, am I going slow, guys? I feel like I'm on a lag. Does it look okay from your side?
Yeah, it looks fine.
Fine, cool. I'm getting that on Loom as well. I don't know if it's just on my side of the laptop, but I'm like delayed on Loom. I don't know if it's coming through on your guys' coaching videos, but let me know if it is. I don't know if it's my laptop. So, Rosie's asked this and she's not here, but I will answer it anyway because she might watch it on catch up. So, this is an on client. So, what apps do you find useful for keeping yourself on top of your goals and sticking routine? Obviously, I'm going to say the Elevate program for this because it combines everything that you need to know. However, obviously, in the Elevate program, all the coaching is in there. So, like your habits and routines, your food, your training is all in one spot. There are some other apps that obviously I do advise as general anyway. I will be honest, guys, I know it sounds quite funny because I do everything online, but I do not like apps when it comes to a fitness journey, typically speaking, not from a point of logging your workouts or logging your food. Things like obviously journaling, gratitude, habits and routines. My favorite thing that I ever used, and you know that I always advise it, is appointment calendars, which usually beauticians use that start from like 4 o'clock in the morning till 11 p.m. at night. And the physical diaries, the A4, and they've got 15-minute schedule blocks throughout the whole day. I absolutely used to live off them, and then I used to just get a different coloured pen and for my training, block around my training time, block around my meal timings, block around my steps, and then I could see all the white time. And that is what I've basically replicated for you guys on Google Sheets, something very, very similar. So you can look at your white time because I think the hello, Luke. I think a lot of the problems that you have when it comes to time management or managing your time is everyone's so busy and the week just flies and things just go away with us so, so quickly. When you actually sit and look at your white time, you'll have a lot more time than you realize. It's a lot of it is down to procrastination and dragging tasks out and not being organized. So I do really like things physical, and I think once you get a pen and a paper and you write things down, it creates solidity in your routine. And when I used to personal train, so when I first started the Elevate program 4 years ago, I was still personal training 30, 40 hours a week, plus I was doing 20 hours on online coaching. I had to train myself as well. There were so many moving parts and I had to see it every single day. So I do prefer that. But in terms of other apps you can use, Notion, Notion, it's something that I haven't yet used. I've been told for ages about other coaches to use it for organization. I'm just so apprehensive about using technology because I have to use so much tech for my job. But Notion's a very, very good time scheduling app. Um, Google Sheets for logging lifts and things like that. That is a good one. There's also, I think it's Gymboard, where you can log your lifts through that, which is pretty good. It's called Reflector for journaling, which is good. But then there's also, I believe Apple do a journaling log now as well. And then reminders. So reminders are a big one. Setting alarms on your phone, like old school, like get up and do your steps when your next meal is. Like just set alarms on your phone. I also have an app, I'm just looking at my phone now, called, what's it called? Oh, Um, oh, it's called Focus, I think it is. And I massively advise of this app. I'm trying to think who I've got on this call, who I can call out. Molly, but I don't know which Molly it is. I don't know if it's Molly Fitchett on the call or Molly Stewart, but I
It's
don't know.
Molly Stewart.
Oh, perfect, Molly Stewart, because I'm talking to you. There's an app called Refocus, and what it basically does is you can create wake times and bedtimes on it, and it blocks all your social media apps. What I do is I've got a maximum capacity, so I've got a 45-minute allowance. So after that, it blocks me. I think it's called refocus. You can unblock it, obviously, but I've hidden the app on my phone, so I can't unblock it. So that's why I can't find the app to tell you, but I think it's called refocus. And what it basically does is it only allows you certain time periods on social media. Majority of the time, I'm on social media to look for things like video ideas and coaching ideas and tips and tricks and stuff like that. But I can end up in a doom scrolling like we all can. So having blocking apps on your phone to stop you scrolling social media is one of the best things that you can do. And then on iPhone, you can actually set bedtimes and wake times. So then it tells you to wind down, it blocks your apps. So I would more so go for them types of things. I'm not going to sit here and promote another coaching app, I'm afraid. But they're your options in terms of that. Sorry, I didn't know if there was a question, but it's annoying because on Zoom, once the question's gone after a minute, I can't open it. So if there is, let me know. Type an X or something, and I can see the chat. Kerry, this is very interesting. I like this question. If you were only allowed to choose one thing for us to focus on to be consistent in our success, e.g., self-care, exercise, or nutrition, what would that be? Put in the chat what you think the number one thing is if I gave you one thing to focus on. Let's see what other people think I'm going to say. Emily, for you, it would be steps. Molly's put bedtime, self-care. That's so funny, actually. It just goes to show how this is very much one-to-one coaching because depending on what feedback I've given you, you've all written what you need to do differently to reach that next level, which is very, very interesting. But Kerry, you've answered it yourself. It is nutrition. So we're thinking of a blanket statement here. And that's just put also you can set different focuses on iPhone which change various notifications. So like I have a setting which allows notifications from work apps. Now, you need a setting that doesn't allow notification from work apps. That's what you need. You just switch those settings over because you work too much
I
already.
do. That's the other one. I do. I have two versions of it.
Oh,
I've got
lovely.
one for home, one for work.
She says that while she's sat in a blazer. Probably still working or finishing work or walking back from work. Point proven that. Um, no, Nat works very, very hard, but she also does very well in a fitness journey. So she's a great example of that you can do both. And she just got married and she's had a lot on. But yeah, great comment there, Nat. And yeah, you can set those as well. So something that I used to do, sorry, I'm regressing onto the last question, is I used to, and it's such a bad habit, I used to wake up in the morning and obviously I'd have my phone charged in my room, go get my phone, open the Everfit coaching app, and start chatting to all you guys as soon as I open my eyes. And then by the time, because I usually get up about six, half six, by the time it would get to like half seven, 8 o'clock, I felt almost burnt out because I'd been like replying to all these problems, and I'd wake up and bloody Susan's had a fight with her husband, and so and so can't hit the steps, and I'd be so overwhelmed. So now I don't do that anymore. I actually deleted the coaching app on my phone for like a year, which hopefully no one even noticed. They probably didn't notice. And again, it's working with my therapist on like understanding that people don't care if you take a little bit longer to reply. People don't care if you take a holiday and not burning myself out all the time by being so on it with you guys. Obviously, I'm still on it and I'm always you don't have to wait very, very long for a response from me. But little things like that, like little habits of not waking up and checking your work emails, not waking up and just getting straight into it. And like what Nat says, blocking certain notifications, so periods of focus. Now, my friends and family hate me because I haven't set that up now. I just put my phone on sleep mode during the day. So everyone thinks I'm sleeping. If someone tries to call me, it's like Sophie's sleeping. No one can ring my phone. They have to ring it 3 times to unblock it because I was sitting there working or programming, which obviously programming requires an immense amount of concentration, all these notifications and calls coming through, it's so distracting and I could never finish a task. So there's so many things that you can do that you can set yourself up for success to be more productive. So thanks for that, Matt. That was interesting. Blocking workouts while on holiday. Yeah, yeah, 100% Kerry. Everyone needs that switch off time. You guys will know more than anyone that I very much struggle to take holiday because I feel like I'm letting 50 people down and I'm not coaching them. So I maybe take a week a year. I think I've taken 2 weeks in 2 years, which is atrocious. So I am fuck next year I'm gonna be on permanent holiday. You're never gonna see me. No, but I am gonna try to take my breaks. And you know that I do encourage you guys as well, like when you go on holiday, not to check in, not to do your training, not to log your food. And it's because that switch off time and mental rest and recovery and lowering stress levels are hugely important and a lot more important than people take care for. I've had clients that have been in deficits you know, in honest deficits that I know they have, and they've got so many stressful things in their life, or they're not sleeping, and their fat loss is snail's pace, and it's night and day. So I don't say it for the for the fun. I know from experience. So, Kerry, interesting guys with your answers to this. It is nutrition. Nutrition is number one. I'm going to go through some visuals with you and I'm going to go through some explanation to this as well. What I would say is they all matter. It is all moving parts. And if there is somebody like, sorry, Emily, I'm just going to take you as an example because I can see you. This isn't anything negative, don't worry. So someone like Emily, Emily, you're actually my longest standing client, now. Yeah, I know. I looked at it the other day. You're my longest time, most consistent client. I think you've been, how many, you've never ever left, have you?
No, I haven't left. I don't know how long have I been with you? Like 2.5, three
I think
years? I
it's only
can't
3 years.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I've had people that have started before you and are still with me now, like going up to the 4 year mark, but have left and come back. And Emily has never left.
yeah.
So thank you so much, Emily, because you're most long-standing client. You might get a Christmas present this year if you're lucky from me.
Excellent. I'll take it.
Um, but yeah, so like in Emily's circumstance, for example, like we know that steps have been a problem for Emily over the years. So for me, her moving part is steps because if her steps are consistently low, it's going to take her out of the deficit. Because when I'm creating calorie deficits and I'm telling you guys what to eat, I am bringing in I'm considering your stress levels. If you've got kids, how much sleep you get, your working routine, how many hours you are at work, what your training's like. Emily pushes herself to failure. She works very hard. So I know her sessions are going to be very optimal when she does train. But I am taking into account 10 plus different reasons for the reason your calories will be set at your calories. And that is why calorie counters are shit because they're only really asking you how much you're training and they can't really take that into consideration. For example, if you're going through the menopause or you've got PCOS or endo or you've got menstrual issues, I'll put you on slightly higher fats. If, for example, Nikki, I can see you as well, someone that I know is cleaning all the time, doing loads of walking, doing loads of stuff all the time, needs more carbohydrates because your body's going to absolutely torch through carbohydrates. So there's so many different moving parts to it, and that's why everyone's feedback in terms of what they should be focusing on is different. Because if they're doing everything right and their stress levels are through the roof, it's going to be right, we need to bring this stress down. If they're doing everything right but the steps are low, pull your steps up. So everyone's going to get different feedback in terms of what their one focus should be to see success, if that makes sense. But if we're thinking of a blanket statement, and I was just getting, Susan from around the corner who knew nothing about, it would be nutrition. Now, the reason for this is I'm sure you've all seen this before, especially if you've been on consultation call with me. But I'll go through it again as a refresher. I don't know why the top's cut off, so apologies about that. So this is what we call a TDEE, and this is obviously what I run through in the metabolic masterclass. So this is your total daily energy expenditure, and that is how many calories we burn every single day at rest. So that's essentially what we burn if we were to sit in bed all day and do nothing. Now, 70% of that is built up from what we call the BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate. This is everything that we think we're born with a slow metabolism. I certainly just thought I had a really slow metabolism and I was just going to be fat all my life. Now, you do have certain things that do affect your metabolic rate medically. Let's take like underactive thyroid, for example. But with an underactive thyroid, it can affect you, the most it can ever affect your metabolism about 8%, which if we're thinking on a daily basis is 150 to 2, I think the biggest difference I've noticed is 250 calories a day. So even with an underactive thyroid, you are still in a really good position to lose fat. PCOS, obviously what I've got, that can affect your ability to lose fat. But when we say ability to lose fat, it is more so the fact that we're hungrier more frequently, you don't feel full as quick. So it's the hormones that are affecting our eating behaviors. And obviously stress, depression, things like that, extreme premenstrual symptoms that can also affect your ability to want to train. So it's more so that these conditions can affect your actions rather than it's medical in terms of your actual medical. Obviously, if you've been vastly under eating for many, many years, that can slow your metabolism down. But that can be quite easily fixed as well. Because again, Nikki, I can see you weren't eating enough really when you joined, and we actually got your food up and pushed your carbs up, and you lost 20 pounds. So the bodies are very, very interesting, and it's an amazing thing. So your BMR, that is controlled by your exercise, by how much muscle tissue you have on your body. And that's why when we age, we get fatter because women lose muscle at a very fast rate, 8 to 10% a decade. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you get to 60 years old and you've lost 8 to 10% of muscle every decade after the age of 20, that's 40% muscle loss by the time you're 60 if you've not trained. So that's why I'm so passionate about women getting into strength training because you cannot get those years back. So the earlier you start this, the better. So the more muscle you have, the more metabolically active you are. You've got to think of the muscle in the body like an organ. This is how I think of it. So your muscles are like organs. I know they're not, scientifically speaking, but they require a lot of blood and oxygen to pump to them to keep them alive. Fat is very dormant. Fat doesn't require a lot to keep alive. So if you've got a lot of muscle, your body's pumping a lot more blood and oxygen around the body. What's that doing? Burning calories at rest because it happens all the time, 24 hours a day. So that's why the more muscle you build, the more metabolically active you are. So muscle is the key fundamental to life, longevity, sustainable fat loss. Stress also has a big impact on your BMR. When you've got high levels of cortisol, your body wants to hold on to fat because it's a fight or flight mechanism. Fat is just reserve fuel at the end of the day, guys. So your body's going, shit, I'm stressed out. I'm going to hold on to this fat in case something happens to me, like I'm going to die, because your body just doesn't understand the difference between stress from work or the fact a bear might be chasing you. So, and again, around the abdomen area for women, why? Because your womb's in there, all your internal organs are there, so it's a protective layer. Most women will always have higher fat stores around the stomach. It is all genetic, usually, when it comes to, well, fat distribution is usually genetic. So you can't target an area, you can't lose an area first. The stomach is usually the last place to go for most women. And what I would say is that, yes, if you're really struggling to lose fat around your stomach and you've been in a deficit for a while or fat loss has slowed down, definitely take a period of reverse dieting or take a diet break. But what I would say is sometimes if people, like if I take Beck, for example, sorry, Beck, I can see you. If anyone's seen Beck's photos, you look absolutely phenomenal, Beck. She could step on stage as a bikini competitor. She looks absolutely amazing. Genetically, Beck has a very, very lean stomach area. So I don't have to get Beck on extremely low calories to get Beck absolutely shredded. So genetically, I say blessed in a way, but she works very hard as well. So we can't take it away from her hard work. But there'll be other clients that they'd lose their period if I wanted to get them a six pack. They'd go into period loss. So you've got to understand that genetics to play a part. I did a massive cut last year, a 24-week cut, and I got extremely lean. If I went much further and I lost my period, did I still have a shredded abdomen section? No, but I wasn't willing to put my body through that to get that. Yeah, so you've got to understand that. So BMR, muscle, stress, hydration. You are dehydrated, your metabolism works a lot slower. When you drink water, you think of it as boiling a kettle. That cold water's got to reach my basal body temperature. It's burning calories. That's why I'm on you all the time, guys, for water, because it's one of the easiest ways to increase your metabolism without doing anything but drinking. And I hate it when people go, "Oh, I'm just struggling to drink. I'm struggling to find the time." How do I get my water in? You just put it to your mouth and you just drink it. Please, please don't make me like write a guide on how to drink water or I'll lose my head. Um, so that's your BMR. And then obviously you've got your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So that's like your movement, emptying the dishwasher, hanging the washing out, walking your dog. Your TF, which is the calories you burn from eating. This is why a high protein diet is optimal because 30% of what you eat, protein wise, is burnt through the digestive system. You eat 1,000 calories of protein, you're burning 700. Oh, sorry, you're burning 300. You've got 700. You eat 1,000 calories of fat, you're only burning 50 because it's around a 5% TF. So that's why I will get a client in many a times and they will already be eating the deficit that I set them. I've got a client at the moment, Paige, the lady from Michigan. That's why she's not on the call because of the time difference. But she's already eaten the calories that I would know I would set her for a deficit. So all I need to do is manipulate macros to help her lose fat. I don't need to put her calories any lower. So that's why it's not just the calories, it is the macro breakdown. And that is why calorie counting alone is shit. It's shit because you don't need to be on low calories. And then you've got your EAT, which is your exercise activity thermogenesis, 10%. That is your training. So your training is actually the least important, but that obviously does impact your BMR. But you can never ever outtrain a bad diet, guys. Never. There's no matter what you can do, you can never outtrain your nutrition. And this will feed into another question that I will get later on. But I lost my first 50 pounds without stepping foot into a gym. Never trained because I didn't know what I was doing. So I just started learning about nutrition when I first started my journey. And I don't like saying that because I don't want to deter people from training. If I could go back, I would absolutely have strength trained at the same time. But food is very, very powerful. And no matter what, the only way to lose fat is to be in a calorie deficit. Shit, I've lost my mouse. Yeah, so Nikki's put it's where I was going totally wrong before I started with you. So yeah, Nikki, we're doing like 15, 20,000 steps a day. I don't know how big your house is, Nikki, but you like got a beautiful house and I know you clean it all the time and then you've got kids and then you're working 2 days a week and she was doing so many Les Mills and um classes and stuff, weren't you, Nikki? And when you came in, I said, well, we're gonna have to pull all this back. So lowered your step count, pulled you back to 3 training sessions a week, and you probably thought, shit, I'm hardly doing anything, and then pushed the food right up and you've made a massive transformation. You've probably seen Nikki's photos where she's got a nice double bicep pose and she looks absolutely unreal. So yeah, guys, listen to me. Um, eh, Trying to give you a visual as well. Most important at the bottom, least important at the top. Calorie deficit, pivotal to losing fat. Again, there's a little calculation there how you work it out. Protein intake, again, it says 0.7 grams per pound of body weight. I don't really like that equation. It's zero point 0.7 to 1, I think it's zero point 0.7 to 1 gram theoretically. I always like to go for 1 gram per pound of body weight. Most of you will be on more than 1 gram per pound of body weight. It gives you a little bit of flexibility. Protein is very, very satiating. But if you are, say, over 180 pounds, let's say, you can use your target weight as a protein target because if I've got someone that's say 230 pounds, I'm not going to put them on 230 grams of protein because it's going to be miserable and almost impossible and not um and not feasible. What I would say as well, if you are, say, over 180 pounds, your protein target will be very high and you need to be consistent with that. And it's because it's going off body weight. Weightlifting, obviously, sleep, and then cardio. I would probably say if this was fat loss purely, I'd swap sleep and weightlifting down around because I think sleep's another area that people don't put another as much emphasis on. We build muscle in our sleep, that is when we recover. So you could be weightlifting. If you're not sleeping, you're not going to build the muscle. Also, sleep is responsible for many, many factors if you've done the sleep, stress, and routine masterclass. But ghrelin and leptin, which is your feeling of fullness and your feeling of hunger. Lack of sleep makes you hungry quicker and doesn't make you feel full as quick. Most clients that I will get are chronically sleep deprived when they come into it and they don't even know they're sleep deprived. They're just running off autopilot. Um, but what I want you to understand, guys, is that it is like um, it's like a building block. It's like building a house. So obviously, your nutrition's your fundamental. That is like your foundation. Your training is your stimulus. So that is telling your body it needs a change. And then your self-care is your recovery system. So that's going to actually allow those changes to happen. So if you take one of the processes away, it's going to slow the whole thing down. And that's why I never want anyone just to concentrate on one area. You can sleep well, you can train hard. If your stress levels are through the roof, your body will very much struggle to respond. And it's as simple as that. Hope that answered your question. God, I'm like, there's not a lot on today. I've got through 2 questions in half an hour. But it's better when I can talk through these a bit more, guys, because I haven't got like 40 questions like I usually have. Now, great question. And you'll all love this because it take a bit of time and writing all this out. Go to meals when you're out and unplanned, like from a supermarket meal deal, or instead of that. Um, So the ideas I'm going to give you, they aren't perfect meals, they're swaps. So I don't want anyone to look at this and go, yes, I don't need to meal prep because Sophie's just given me all these ideas where I can hit my macros. Um, we've also got to understand when we're hitting macros, because obviously most guys come from a calorie perspective. So once they start hitting macros, they're like, oh my God, I'm hitting macros. It's also what those macros are built up of. I could eat 200 grams of protein a day in protein chocolate mousses and protein bars. Is that going to have the same effect as eating chicken and beef? No. Yeah. So these are just giving you examples. Again, obviously prioritizing protein flexibility. So Tesco's and Sainsbury's, chicken and bacon salad bowls. These are about 250 calories. You get about 30 grams of protein. As you snack, like Baby Bell or a protein bar, again 50 to 200 calories. Drink Diet Coke or any diet drink or some water or a protein shake. You're going to get 450 to 550 calories, 45 to 60 grams of protein. So when it comes to meal deals, it's actually so easy now. Like, I actually thought a new business idea, like I could bring out protein meal deals because I feel like people go to a meal deal section and they're like, just pick the worst option. When I see it on the MyFitnessPal, they're buying like a chicken Caesar salad wrap, which is like 600 calories and like 2 grams of protein. And I'm like, no, there's so many good options out there. But they're the options for Tesco Sainsbury's that I'd personally pick. Um, Boots. I don't know who gets a meal deal from Boots, don't get me wrong, but I had to include it because I know some of you do. Chicken and pesto pasta or chicken Caesar wrap. The one from Boots is pretty good. 350 to 400 calories or 25 to 30 grams of protein. A YoPro yogurt, or you can get boiled eggs now in the meal deals. I don't know if anyone's seen them. You can't always get them, but you can get boiled eggs and they're fine. So really easy protein snack. 100 to 150 calories. Vitamin water or a Diet Coke. Again, 500 calories and 35 to 40 grams of protein. So that's going to be a pretty good option for you. Um, M&S. Teriyaki chicken rice bowl or salmon and quinoa salad, 350 to 400 calories, 30 grams of protein. Edamame beans or cottage cheese pot you can get from M&S. Sparkling water or 0 cal soft drink. Again, 450 to 500 calories. I don't even know how much a meal deal is from M&S. I don't think I've walked in there for ages, but I really do want to go in M&S. But my advice is make your own. I always say this, like, it's so easy to go in a supermarket, even on lunchtime, and make your own. Buy a packet of ready cooked chicken breast. Again, I don't love this stuff. If you look on the back of a few, but they've got so many seasonings, stabilizers, salt, sugars. They're okay now and again, but I won't buy them for my home, put it that way. I'd always use chicken breast, but it's always good when you're out and about. Microwavable rice pouch. You can eat it hot or cold. You got to do what you got to do to get the carbs in. Pre-made salad pot or bag of greens. Optional, you can get low-cal salad dressing or you can get sachets of sweet chili sauce. That's going to give you 400 to 450 cal, 35 to 40 grams of protein. That is going to be more satiating, like a big chicken wrap or, big chicken and rice than like a small little sandwich, in my opinion. Um, Brekkie, these are some brekkie ideas. 2 ready boiled eggs, YoPro or Ala protein yogurt, piece of fruit, 33 grams of protein, 330, 33 grams of protein, 380 calories. Nice and easy on the go. If you have a microwave, so if you're working away, you got a microwave in your hotel, M&S Count on Us or Tesco Fit Kitchen Meals, 350 to 450 cal, 30 to 40 grams of protein. These are microwave meals with decent ingredients, so they're good emergency backups. Backups. I don't need buying 7 of those at the start of the week. Finish your meal prep. Power Cut Zero sparkling water into the crisps. Easy. 400 calories, 35 to 40 grams of protein. Um, Snack combos. We all love our snacks, I hate snacks. But a protein yogurt, Baby Bell Light, and a pack of cooked chicken. Again, like them turkey slices and stuff like that are easy. Your pro yogurt, boiled eggs and fruit, protein bar, iced black coffee or a Diet Coke, tuna snack pot, rice cakes, low cal drink. Quite like this. It's quite high in calories. So when you do look at the tuna snack pots, the ones that are already like seasoned or already in like an oil or something, there's loads of different flavors, but check on the back because the macros vastly are different. So I used to just go and get the one that I wanted, and then when I started looking on the back, I was like, shit, there's like 300 calorie difference depending what seasoning I choose. Things like the cracked black pepper and the lemon ones are pretty light, and they usually can come with rice cakes as well, so it's a perfect little snack, and you get a decent amount of protein in. Hope that helped. Oh, I put that in twice. Sorry, guys. Um, question 4. So, I've put Emma, and I know Ashley's asked this. Sorry, Ashley, I don't know why I've typed Emma. I've just realised I was like, this isn't Emma, this is Ashley. Um, So if you've not already, go back. The masterclass that I run last month was on menopause, menstruation, and female hormones. So I go into such depth about female hormones and period and weight gain and what to eat around the cycle. It's such a vital training. So please go back and watch that because I don't know if you're on it or not, but I assume by the question you haven't watched it because I don't know if this question would have been asked if or not. But obviously I'm happy to answer your question. So it's normal for weight fluctuations before your period, anywhere from 1 to 5 pounds. Some women will experience more, so if it's more, don't panic. It's not fat gain, it is hormonal gain, which is usually water weight. Now, the reason this happens in the luteal phase, so days 14 to 28, once you've ovulated, um, progesterone rises. And that is basically going to cause your body to hold on to water and hold on to salt. Estrogen fluctuations can also make this happen as well. So some people notice this around ovulation. Can't remember what client it was now we're talking to about it, but she would always spike, oh, I think she's left now, she would always spike in weight on ovulation. So it can happen on ovulation as well, which is your mid-cycle. So bloating, puffiness, heavier legs. The scale is water weight. My legs swell up like no one's business when I'm due on, and I can see it in the mirror at the gym, and I hate it. It looks like even when I fly, I suffer really bad with water retention just generally. So just drinking as much water as you can helps reduce water retention. Again, these hormones are going to affect your hunger. So ghrelin and leptin, you're feeling a fullness, you're feeling a hunger. So you're more likely to crave shit food, higher in salt, higher in sugar. This is all going to cause water retention. Higher carbohydrate food. Every gram of carbohydrate you eat, you gain about 3 grams of water. So you're gaining about 4 grams of weight every time you eat a gram of carbohydrate. So a lot of the time it is just water weight. Again, it's just temporary fluctuations, but it's just ensuring that you're still adhering to your calorie deficit. Digestive issues as well. Everyone's is a little bit different. Some people's digestion can really slow down. And the more food in your gut, the heavier that you're going to be. If you're not digesting your food or not being to the toilet, you're going to hold a lot more scale weight. Um, Again, inflammation. So for me personally, I get a lot of inflammation when I train on the due up to my period. So I'll be very sore. I can't hit PBs. Everything's harder. That is all going to cause inflammation and scale weight increase. Again, stress and sleep. A lot of women do not sleep very well on the run up to their period because of the increased basal body temperature, which makes sleeping harder. Lack of sleep increases your stress. This is all going to increase water retention and weight gain. Again, track trends. So like usually it'll happen every 4 weeks, so you just kind of get used to it and understand that it is just water weight. So don't allow it to demotivate you. It is not fat. Um, Again, keep protein high, keep fiber very, very high to keep digestion moving. Hydrate well. Don't eat overly salty foods. Try and limit your carbohydrates so you're not absolutely going mental. Again, make sure your digestion's on point. So light walks after every meal. We should be doing that anyway, but just keeping everything moving. But yeah, it's completely normal and don't allow it to demotivate you because it will happen every month for, well, until you hit menopause, and then we have all that to deal with. So, so have to get on board with it. So I know she's not here today, but how to stay on track when recovering from knee surgery and not being able to exercise at all. Again, like I said before, nutrition is the main driver of fat loss. So I lost my first 50 pounds before I'd stepped into the gym. I also damaged my knee very badly playing rugby a few years ago. I could not walk. Trust me, I was still going to the gym. I was worked on my upper for 6 months and I really, really worked on my upper strength. And I know it sounds quite harsh, but if you've got a knee injury, even if you're on crutches, you can get to the gym. You can still do a lat pull down, you can still get a pair of dumbbells. Like these things that can be done. Not that it should be a big focus area. I had to go because I would lose my head sat on a sofa for that long. But there is other things that you can do, and maybe it's dedicating a bit of time to upper body, which a lot of women do not ever spend a time on focusing on. Um, 70 to 80% of fat loss is always going to be through your nutrition. The problem is that when you are sedentary, your calorie deficit is going to have to be a lot lower, which is a lot harder to adhere to. When you are not moving, you have got more time to think. So that is going to make you hungrier. So you've got a lot of things that you're battling against when it comes to injuries. But I would say it's certainly not impossible. I would also say as well, sometimes just understanding that you might have to maintain your weight for a little bit until things get a little bit better. Maintaining weight is a lot better than gaining weight. You don't want an injury and then have to lose an extra 20 pounds when you've recovered. But I would certainly say if you can train upper body, it's going to increase your basal metabolic rate. It's going to help blood sugar regulation, your cravings. It's going to burn more calories, so you can eat more food. Um, and it doesn't have to be anything extreme. Um, so I would say concentrate on upper body training, adhere to your deficit, make sure your deficit is lower, and don't stress if you're not losing consistent scale weight because you should take the period of an injury to maintain or lose a little bit, not extreme fat loss. When you're injured as well, your body does not want to be in an extreme deficit because it needs the extra fuel to recover. So that's why if I get a client and they do become injured, I put the calories up because we don't want to put the body under more stress than it's already under. Cool. Uh, Beck, so obviously I know why Beck's said this. So best ways of staying motivated when you feel like you've hit a bit of a fitness plateau. Now, to kind of say more to you directly, Beck, and then like the overall as well, I wouldn't say you've hit a fitness plateau. You've just had a massive change in your life. Like obviously you've moved to the other side of the world and like you've got a new routine. You took ages because you couldn't find a gym that you liked. You obviously moved back home with your parents and everything's hard in terms of like the fridge and like I don't think it's hit a fitness plateau. I just think you hit a change in your life which made you feel like you weren't progressing and that is normal. And what I want you all guys to understand in life, we are not always progressing. It is virtually impossible. Things happen. There might be a period of time where you have to sit at maintenance. There might be a period of time even where you gain a little bit of weight. There's clients that I've had, you know, shit happened, really bad shit happened. And I've just said to him, right, next 12 weeks, we're not tracking our food. And one of your targets is to go out once a week on a social occasion, whether that be a meal out or something like that, because I know mental health and socializing is more important during that period of time. If you're on this journey for the rest of your life, which you should be, because this is just looking after ourselves, it is never going to be like this. We're never just going to consistently progress. And I think once you accept that, it can kind of take a little bit of weight off your shoulders because I used to get myself in the mindset if I wasn't building muscle, if I wasn't losing fat, if I wasn't progressing towards my goals every single week, I'd be, oh, I'm a failure, I'm depressed, I'm miserable. And it's not healthy to be like that because A, you will burn out and you will never be satisfied. Sometimes it's good to sit in the results that you've got and enjoy them. Yeah, so try and distinguish the difference between, right, I'm being lazy and demotivated and I'm not making progress to maybe I'm just having a big change in my life. I will be the first one to say if I think you're not pulling your weight, and I think you're using excuses, which you all know that I will, which is very, very different to, Beck, within like a week of landing, and I've done that journey many a times. You're in the gym, you're sending videos. Like it's not like you just completely fell off the face of earth. I think you just put a bit of too much external pressure on yourself. You're also deciding whether to go to uni, whether to get a new job. There was so many moving parts, and then your fitness journey at that point is not as important as these big life decisions you've got to make. Um, and when you look at your life, guys, I like to separate mine into like three pillars. So I've got my work, my coaching, I've got my own fitness journey, and then I've got my family, friends, personal stuff. You cannot be 100% over all three at any one time. There is times when in your personal life requires 100% attention, and your fitness journey just might need to come down to 80% for a while. And then everything's hunky-dory in your personal life, so boom, let's absolutely smash it. Or, work's really busy. I have to like just lock in, not be social for a couple of months and just work my ass off. It's all going to be moving all the time. What we don't want to do is allow everything to plummet, to knack all and become complacent. So that's just a bit of advice for you, Bet, because I do not think you're in a fitness plateau. I think you're in a lifestyle plateau, just making decisions and just not being able to 100% focus, which is normal. Um, Again, there is a whole training on plateaus as well, because obviously every topic that people struggle with, I've probably spoke about it for 2 hours because I've probably struggled with it at some point. But in terms of things that would impact you and things that you would change, obviously in terms of fitness plateau, it's a very broad question to do this because it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, I'm not losing fat 'cause I know you're not in a fat loss. You might not be hitting PBs. You might not feel like you're progressing in your training. That is very normal if you've got external factors going on because stress can really overhaul the body. But I would say like new routines is obviously requires a new adjustment. So your body is smart. So obviously it does get complacent. So that's things where I might put in a new training program, which in your situation, we've decided that going to the gym 3 times a week at the moment isn't feasible. So let's buy adjustable dumbbells, which you've done, and let's do a session from home a week. Let's adapt the routine to make it more feasible. That is number one, which we're doing in your training program this week. Again, understand a really big important part of your fitness journey is what I call the middle part, which is where a lot of people will say to me, oh, I'm gonna leave coaching, or, I don't really feel like I'm making massive amounts of progress, or something like that. And the thing is, the middle part of a fitness journey is so important because at the start, most people have got a goal, whether that's fat loss, muscle gain, body recomposition. You will notice very quick changes to your physique in a short space of time. Then you've got the middle part where you're either a reverse dieting, which again, you've still got some type of goal, so it is some type of motivating. But then certainly once you've hit a reverse diet and you're in the either a maintenance phase or a bulking phase, Lenny won't be on this call, but Lenny has just done like I think it's like a 6 to 9 month calorie surplus with me, and it's been very hard for her because she's always wanted to get lean, 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 and she's never been in a period of time where she's had to sit with higher percentage of body fat. And when you're in that position, and the longer you're in that position, the better, you will notice little to no changes for months. You might obviously notice in changes in strength increases, but that's about it. You're not going to look in the mirror every day and think you look any better. And that is the part where everyone thinks they've hit a plateau, but it's actually the very important part to getting an elite physique. And I think I've done a diagram on here to show you guys. I'm so sorry that this is cutting off, but um, let's look at how quickly you can gain muscle. The longer you're in this game, the harder it becomes. If you're a beginner and you've got 0 to 6 months of training in your bag, the fastest you can gain muscle is about 1 to 2 pounds of muscle per month. You're not even going to probably gain that because you're in a deficit most of the time. Newbie gains, almost everything is new stimulus, body adapts quickly. So it's all new on the body, so your body's going to adapt very, very quickly. 6 to 24 months of training, you're gonna be like 30 to 40% of that only after 6 months of training. So your gains are gonna massively slow down because your body adapts. And this is why you need to focus on progressive overload and nutrition. Advanced 2 plus years, you're gonna struggle to even gain half a pound of muscle a month. And that is maintenance or surplus. So gains become gradual, very small improvements require careful programming, recovery, and diet. And then highly trained, so someone who's been training, I think this is over 3 years, so this is me, minimal fractions of pounds per muscle month. So I could be eating maintenance surplus every single month, training 3 or 4, 5 times at the week at the gym, absolutely smashing it, progressive overload, and I'm going to notice this much muscle growth. Muscle maturity limits rates of growth, requires advanced techniques and meticulous nutrition. And that is why people, it is so frustrating because it's not that there's anything wrong with your body, but you need to keep accountable when it's so shit like this. And this is why when I'm going through big bulk periods, I'm going through big cutting periods, what do? I get myself an online coach because it is so hard to overcome that um, the mental requirement that is required to work very hard at something and see minimal change. Does that mean it's not worth it? No, because what would I rather? Gain 1/4 of a pound of muscle a month or lose 10% a decade? I'd rather gain 1/4 of a pound, 1/4 of a pound. So this is why, especially you guys, Beck, you're on a reverse diet, you're on higher calories. Nikki, you will be going into this as well, and you've trained for decades. You have to be patient because it's not like you're going to start increasing your food and your training and suddenly, wow, I'm going to get jacked. It doesn't happen like that. We wish it did in an ideal world. And that's why obviously a lot of athletes now use PEDs, performance enhancing drugs, because it's very hard for women to gain muscle. And that's why I say it until I'm blue in the face. Your favourite influencer who's got an 8 pack and he's absolutely shredded with massive glutes, they're probably on some type of PED because these types of physiques take decades to build, not a year. Yeah. Not saying they're all on PEDs, guys. Obviously, there is a lot of natural athletes out there. But obviously, I know a lot about performance enhancing drugs, and there's a lot of very light level stuff you can take that gives you extreme results with not a lot of side effects. Yeah. So just be aware of that. Stop trying to be the physique of somebody else. Be the physique that you want to be yourself. Hope that answered your question without me going on a rant about about enhancing drugs. Um, Emily, I love this question. This is one of my favorite questions. Um, what's the single best habit that you've seen that separates people from maintain results long term for those who don't? What a good bloody question. It took me ages to think about how I was going to answer this because there's so many different directions that I can answer this with. But I would honestly say, and I've written some notes down about this so I don't miss anything, I would say it's the difference between someone who has got a victim mentality and someone who's got an ownership mentality. And I can speak very confidently on this because I used to be a victim mentality person. And by that, I mean, I am fat because my family don't know about my family don't train or my family were never massively into fitness or don't eat very, very healthy diet. Don't get me wrong, I had a fabulous upbringing and it was always meat and two veg. But I didn't really have I didn't know what protein was, which most people don't. I didn't know what carbohydrate was. I didn't know I should eat this. So as soon as I went to college and I had freedom, I had really no education on food and obviously I ended up obese. Don't get me wrong, my mum tried very hard, bless her, and we had many difficult conversations when I was growing up about my eating habits. But if you have ever been from a pattern of binge or emotional eating, you will know the more people tell you to stop, the more you want to do it. So it's very counterproductive and it's a very, very hard thing to manage. Um, so I would say victim mentality, life happens to me, and the reason I am the way that I am is because of external factors. Yes, of course, we're all given different starts in life. We all have different circumstances. I have got clients that work full-time jobs, that are single parents, that have young children, that have extremely busy lives, or that are carers for elderly family members that are sick. It is not like I get a profile of a client and I think, right, they've got loads of time, so they're going to do really, really well. Time is honestly not a factor. And, I know it's like you think, oh, if I had more time, I'd do this or I'd do this better. You wouldn't, because if your mindset's not there and if you're not motivated and determined, you could be unemployed and you would still not make progress. So it is all about your mindset. So it is people who maintain results, who take ownership of their actions. Um, I can't remember, it might have even been Molly Stewart that sorry, Molly, if it weren't you, but had someone on a form saying that they didn't go to the gym and it was entirely their fault and it was because they just weren't planned and prepared enough. And it is literally as simple as that. I will get feedback forms saying I didn't hit my protein target, I wasn't prepared, and I've let myself down this week. I'll be take ownership. I'll also get other coaching forms that are like, I didn't hit my protein target, work was really busy, I didn't have any time to prep. Can you see the difference between them two mindsets? They've both got the same problem, but one person has approached it in a very different way, saying that it's their fault because they didn't make the time. Whereas the other person has said work was too busy. So they're blaming an external factor. And it's very, very hard to um, call it out without upsetting people. And I don't even think anyone on this call is like this, to be honest. And I don't really get a lot of clients like this because over time with the education, they kind of understand that it is themselves to blame, but it is a victim mentality and creating ownership. We can all make excuses. Don't get me wrong, guys. I will do it myself all the time, and I have to snap myself out of it. I'll go, oh, maybe I'm too tired for that gym session, or I was absolutely knackered yesterday. Like there is certain circumstances where you have to make amendments. I'm not saying go to the gym on 3 hours sleep and being sick, but you have to realize when you're making those self excuses, um, to snap yourself out of it. It's no one's fault but yourself, the reason that you're in the position that you're in. And I truly believe that for pretty much everyone's scenario. Go watch like David Goggins, for example, on YouTube if you want some motivation. There's also a guy called Richard McCann. He's actually a local guy. He's a very good motivational talker. He came into my school 20 years ago and we ended up becoming friends on LinkedIn and we talk a lot. But like go watch these people that have come from nothing to everything and it just goes to show. Um, there was a case study actually, and there were two twin boys, and they had a really, really bad upbringing, and the parents were alcoholics. This was in America. And anyway, they got interviewed because one of them became a multimillionaire, and then the other one was still homeless. Identical, identical twins, identical upbringing. And they interviewed them, and they said to the successful one, "Why are you so successful?" And he was like, "Because my parents were alcoholics, and I didn't want that life for myself anymore, and blah blah blah." And they interviewed the other guy and I was like, why are you homeless? And he's like, because my parents are alcoholics and I've become an alcoholic myself. Same upbringing, same lifestyle, different way of perceiving it. So it's all about perception.
What
Um,
was that second name, Sophie?
the second name of the twins,
No, the guy that you said, the local guy.
Richard McCann. Have
Oh,
you heard of
Richard
him?
McCann. Thanks.
So,
No, I just wanted to take his name down so I could have a
oh
look.
yeah, well I can send you some videos. So Richard McCann. I don't know if obviously if you guys know about the Yorkshire Ripper, which was obviously a serial killer that happened in Yorkshire. So his sister was the victim. No, sorry, his mother was the victim of that. And so his mother was murdered and he was brought up in care and then had a really, really terrible time of it. And he came into my school to talk about it. And it was very, very moving. And he has ended up completely changing his life around. And he has a company called I Can, which is motivational speaking. I'm actually speaking to him at the moment because I would love him to come into the Elevate program and talk to you all guys. He's been asking for my help at the moment because his daughter's a coach. So his daughter that's grown up now, she's an online coach. So I've been trying to help her get off her feet with her online coaching. So I'm also going to try and ask him a favor and say, come into the Elevate program and tell everyone your story. So we'll see, guys. I'm not offering any promises. He's very expensive to book for a motivational call, but I'm trying to twist his arm at the moment. So that is just like a really good example of your life and what happens to you. You can decide what you make of it. Um, oh God. Yeah, Kerry, bloody hell. Yeah, it's crazy actually, isn't it? And my grandma was approached by him as well, which is insane. Um, when she was younger, obviously, because my grandma, she was born in the 60s. Um, so it's absolutely shocking, isn't it? But his stories are absolutely moving on it as well. So yeah. I don't know how we've got onto the bloody Yorkshire Ripper on a fat loss masterclass, but stranger things have happened. Um, so yeah, I would say the biggest habit is your mental mindset towards it and ownership. So things like, pl people who are planning ahead, people that are aware. What I always say is cr treat every week that's coming up as the busiest week of your life and prepare for it. Because if I hear every week, oh, work just ended up working late every night this week, from the people that I've coached for like 2 or 3 years who pretty much happens to them at least 2 weeks out of the month. It's like, well, I know you're gonna have a busy week at work. Why don't you know you're gonna have a busy week at work? So like plan every week to be the busiest week of your life. Don't wait for the perfect conditions. Don't wait for time. Um, again, learning from setbacks. Don't see them as a failure. Again, self-reflect. Weekly check-ins. That's why I'm doing the Thursdays and I'm doing the Sundays. So there's 2 times a week you've got opportunity to reflect on your week. Again, the habits that are separating it are controllable actions. That's why I say, guys, control the controllables. They don't rely on perfect conditions or motivation. One of my highest, one of my highest viewed and highest clicked on social media posts, which just makes me laugh, is how to get your steps in the rain, which obviously was just clickbait because on the video I just put an umbrella up and started walking. And that's the thing, we're all looking for quick hacks. We're looking to cut corners. We're looking for make things easiest, make the conditions the best. Thanks, Kerry. I'm really glad you enjoy the Thursday one. Um, and that's the problem. Like when it's raining, how to get your steps in, put your brolly up. We can't always wait for the perfect outcome. So again, take responsibility for the things you can control. There is also things that we cannot control, but we can prepare for things that we cannot control. And I would say the stark and big difference between clients who are successful and clients who aren't. That being said, I very rarely get a client who fails. And I'm not just saying that, it's very rare because obviously it's set up in a way to make people succeed, is all down to the way that they think. So I love that question, Emily. One of my favorites. Um, Susie, should I be taking creatine every day or just on the days I go to the gym? Every single day. Every single day. Because creatine isn't a performance booster. It's not like taking a pre-workout. It's not got any caffeine. It's got nothing in it. It's not like going to take creatine and go in the gym and train or lift any better. You have creatine stores. So if you are just taking it every time you train, your creatine stores are never going to be at optimal levels anyway. I have done a whole video on creatine, but it's just in the queue to be posted. So I'm going to be going through all the science and everything to do with creatine. But you need to take it every single day. Your muscle stores aren't going to refill instantly, so you have to keep that top up supply. The advised amount is 3 to 5 grams, but I would say 5 grams. If you're taking creatine, you need to make sure you're drinking enough water. If you become dehydrated on creatine, it will be not good for your digestive system. So make sure you're drinking absolutely enough water. Again, you get creatine from natural foods, a lot of red meats anywhere, but every single day, again, you're going to get improved strength and power, faster recovery sessions. You're going to recover faster from your training. It supports lean muscle growth. It basically pulls water and glycogen into your muscles, which gives you more power. It can really, really improve your training. It will always say on the tub to do a loading phase of 20 grams a day for 5 days. Don't do that. You don't need to do a loading phase, especially not as females. You can ignore that. Just do the 5 grams a day. Um, People will always say, "Oh, well, what if creatine's so good? Why didn't you tell me to take it, or why didn't you advise I take it?" Creatine can cause water gain. Well, it does cause water gain. It causes scale increase. So water gain is not fat gain, obviously. But as you can imagine, if I'm getting a client who is emotionally attached to the scales and is just gonna lose their head if they don't lose a pound a week, and then I start pumping them full of creatine, they're gonna hate me, and they're not gonna think the process is working. So creatine's good at any part of the journey, but you've got to understand it will cause influx of water weight. If you're taking it inconsistently as well, you're gonna have an inconsistency of water weight. So as long as you know that and understand that, knock yourselves out with your creatine. Just 5 grams a day. Um, Jodie, what are some strategies you can use to stay consistent when life or work is unpredictable or a bit chaotic? Jodie, I know you've got a very high stressful job. And I know you work really, really hard. So, but what I would say is go back again. I know Jodie's been with me for years as well. You've left a couple of times. You went and got a personal trainer and you cheated on me and then you came back with your tail between your legs, but I'm still trying to get over that. Um, but yeah, so I would go back, especially some of those older learning materials like habits and routines, how to stay consistent, time management. There is literally probably 10 hours of training on strategies that you can use. I understand that this is a Q&A and I understand that's why you've asked that. But my advice would be, Jodie, there's probably been 3, maybe 4 years since you've watched some of those old trainings. Go back and refresh your brain. However, what I would say is, like I said before, treat every single week like it's going to be mental. Whether you've got a quiet week or not, you should still be doing your weekly scheduling. You should still be mapping everything out. You should still be doing all your little colour coordinated things and all that good stuff. Um, and then give yourself a little bit of grace. If you, for example, if you work in finance and you come into month end or year end, you will know that those are later nights. If you're working on a big project and you're in sales or you've got to travel down to London, you know what's kind of coming up. Give yourself more grace to do so. It might be that you have to get up early and go train in the morning if you know you're going to be working late. Make adjustments. Don't get to the end of the week and be like, shit, I've not done anything. There is also adjustments you can make. Set your health habits like non-negotiable. Sometimes you can't work at full capacity. What I would say is, even if work is chaotic, I should still be expecting someone to get at least 2 training sessions in. The only excuse you can give me, if you say to me you can't get any of your training sessions in, I want to see your screen time on your phone. And I'm pretty sure then you'll switch out because you can do 2 30-minute sessions training, especially if you train from home. You can always find that time. Everyone thinks they're too busy, and it is funny because I'm really, really busy. And I'm sure you're all very, very busy too, but we can always prioritize it. Again, we might not be able to work to full capacity, so maybe less training sessions, shorter training sessions, things like water. How I hear I've been too busy to drink my water. I literally want to strangle myself in my office chair because no one is too busy to drink their water, even if you're sedentary all day. So maybe look at the things that are most time consuming and reduce that. You might need to order a week meal prep. You might need to go to Tesco's and order them and go get those meal foods if you need to, if you've not got time for prep. These are always ways and means about it. But do you need to go order a fat Chinese on a Saturday night because you've been busy? No. You have to put it into perspective. So again, even if you haven't got time to prep, get yourself organized in terms of your food, either buying some stuff at the supermarket or your GSN pots of gold, which are pretty good. Muscle Food do loads of meal preps. Um, batch other tasks too. So like try and not allow, I see so many people doing so many household tasks throughout the week because they don't dedicate any time to getting on top of the house. So for me, like I'll dedicate like 2 3 hours where it'll just be solely housework. And then throughout the week, I can just do top ups. So I'll always try midweek have a clean in the house, a big clean. And it means when it gets to Sunday, I'm not like, shit, I've got 4 loads of washing, a full house to clean, shopping to do, meal prep to do. I don't feel like I've had any type of weekend. So I would say commit time every single day to these tasks. Again, focus on process, not perfection. Life is always going to be unpredictable. You have to understand that. 80% of your week in a chaotic week is still a good week. We don't have to everything be perfect. The biggest problem people have is if they can't do everything 100%, they do nothing at all. So if the week gets slightly busy, they go, right, I'm not going to track my food or do my workouts. I'm just going to concentrate on my week. The worst thing that you can do, or they'll just go ghost on me and like not check in and then not dare message me because they've just gone ghost. Um, so something is always going to be better than nothing. So plan. Expect every week to be a chaotic week. Create some time for things like household tasks so things don't get on top of you because that's very, very easy to use as an excuse. Oh, I'm not going to go to the gym because I need to mop the floor. I used to do that all the time. Like my house was spotless and I was sat there fat because I was like, oh, yeah, because every time I wanted to do something, I just found an excuse not to do it. So I hope that helped, Jodie. I don't think you're on here, Jodie, today. Are you here? Oh, do. You're not here. Right, well that's sorry, I'm going mad at you then because you've not come to your group coaching call. I'm only joking. Molly, funny actually this morning because you got 11 kilos, didn't you, today? And you messaged me. Go you.
Actually hit the
12.
12,
12. I'm
but
saying,
with
yeah,
some help.
because I'm thinking, oh, you got 11 kilos, like an 11-kilo dumbbell exists. It doesn't even exist, but
Yeah.
they need to bring that out. They need to bring out a size 9 between a size 8 and a 10, and a size 11 between 10 and 12, and they need to bring out 11 and 13-kilo dumbbells. We should petition that. If there was a political party that said that, they'd get my vote. Like, why are they not concentrating on what needs concentrating on? You know what I mean? Um, So yeah, so I'm gonna go through this anyway because a lot of people are stuck on between weights. A little hack, which I pretty much have sure told most of you, but on plate loaded equipment, um, especially like leg extension, leg curl, do you know, there's like 5 kilos between each, and it's like, who did I have this with? Leanne. Leanne, when she was telling me, do I need to go lighter and have the pause or go heavier because she's in between two weights? I'm gonna help you with this now. Yeah, Nikki doing workouts before the school run, yeah, massive. Also, as well, like we usually do have quite a high level of cortisol in the morning, so it is quite good for training, but I just don't like training fasted training, and a lot of women who are getting up to go commute, they'd have to train at like 4 or 5 a.m. and they're not going to be able to eat, and that's why I'd rather them train after work while they've got a bit of fuel behind them. But obviously it works very, very well with you, and I know you get up very early. Um, yeah, wrist weights. Yeah, same with adjustable ones. So a couple of ways that you can do it. Yeah, you can get wrist weights. I mean, I wouldn't maybe be bothered to go that far. I mean, you, Nikki, from home, yeah, but I think carrying wrist weights to the gym, probably not. So when you're on pin loaded equipment, you can get a 1.25 kilo plate, like a little plate. Get the pin out of the stack, put it through the plate, and put it on the stack. Same with cables. So like cables, like I can't move from a 1.25 to a 2.5 cable lat raise because it's 100% increase. Yeah, double. So getting a small plate and putting it through stacks on machinery or on cables, you can do at the gym, is a very easy way to resolve that problem. When it comes to dumbbells, obviously it's a little bit different. So what I would say is there's multiple ways to progressive overload. That is not the way. Let's say, for example, you're stuck on 10, you can't get to 12 more. Like, we can't go up to 12 unless it's shit form, obviously. One way that we can do it is only try and hit 12 when you're ovulating. Probably sounds silly, but because your strength difference will be about 20-25%, try and really push for that PB when you're ovulating, and then you've still got an opportunity to hit it in that month, but then you're not trying to hit it when you're like during your period and it's just absolutely going to be a shit show. So time when you're going to hit PBs is one thing that I would advise. Another thing is when you're using your tens, make it harder with the tens. So for example, like what we're thinking about here, so we're thinking about bench press. Obviously, I can't show you bench press, but if I'm doing a shoulder press, for example, when I'm coming down, think of 4, 3, 2, 1, pause, and then drive, rather than before if your reps looked like this. So adding in that pause and adding in that tension will be a way of making you stronger. And it means when you do come to do the 12s, even if you don't need the pause there, you've got stronger by just pausing on the tens because it's making it more difficult. Again, increasing reps, so increase your rep range. Obviously, when it comes to programming, you can say to me, right, I'm stuck on this, I need to get to this. I can adjust your reps, adjust your rest period to make the 10 set harder. So there's things that we can do to do that as well. Slow the tempo, add a pause. These are all really easy ways. Lat raises, guys, like accessory movements and stuff like that. I think Nikki just mentioned something there. Um, yeah, add pauses. So like lat raise you could make very hard. At the end of your set, you could have a hold, 10-second hold. There's so many things we can do. So if there's a specific movement that you're struggling to progressive overload and you cannot go up to the next weight, tell me and I'll mess around and give you some notes and sets and pauses and things like that. Partial reps or paused reps. This isn't going to work. Well, it could essentially work for a bench press, but the hardest part of the movement is at the bottom. So when we're thinking, let's say, for example, let's take a lat raise, because a dumbbell lateral raise is very hard to progressive overload because if you're going from 4 kilos to 5 kilos, you're going up, what, 25%? An extra kilo is 25%. It's not like a small increment. So if we're doing like a lat raise, for example, when I'm trying to progressive overload mine, I'll go up and I'll pause 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 between sets. Another thing that you can do is partials. So when you've hit your full rep range and you think you've worked till failure, try and push out the last few, even if they're partials. Same with bicep curls. So you're curling, you might just go, oh, you might just try and get a few partials out. You would not class them as working reps. And I don't like to advise that for non-experienced lifters because it's people, the reason I advise it is because people will think they've hit failure and start going into partials when they could have got full reps out, but they've not trained their mind enough to work past the capacity of failure, if that makes sense. So Molly, for example, you could use partials because I know you worked on failure. Um, so for you, for example, you're struggling to do something, go into partial reps. When you're logging your sets, if you've done 10 full reps and 5 partials, you'd still log it as 10, but you're just squeezing every little bit out of you, kind of that muscle. But you wouldn't do partials on things like an RDL, guys. Let's use our common sense. We're not going to do partial reps at fatigue at heavy weight, putting all that load on our back. It's more accessory movements. Emily, much lighter warm-up set. Yeah, absolutely. So, Emily, we were working on improving we wanted PB on leg press because you were stuck at the same weight for so long. So I told Emily, right, stop lifting so heavy at the start because you're pre-fatiguing. Very, very light, 40 to 50% before you go into that heavy set. Because what's happening is, especially with stuff like compounds and leg press, this is why I hate 4 by 10. I have to program 4 by 10 when you're a beginner, guys. So if you've got 4 by 10, don't hate me. It's not that I'm not programming you properly, it's just because we're not at that level yet. But if you say doing the leg press and you do 4 by 10 and you do 50, 60, 70, 80 kilos, you get to 80 kilos, you're done in. You've done 20 to 30 reps of leg press and it's going to keep you stuck. So we can do things like reverse pyramid sets, lightest engagement sets, loads of different ways to help you progressive overload. So always tell me if you're struggling because I can help you. And Emily's now PB'd on leg press. Accessory lifts to support that muscle. So if you're struggling with leg press, we might need to add in leg extensions or walking lunges or some more leg movements to support the growth of the quads. If it comes to things like bench press, we might want to add in chest flies, press ups, things to make the um you've put overhead bench press. Do you mean chest press or do you mean shoulder press?
Yeah, I think actually meant shoulder press.
Oh yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we just put more emphasis on creating like might add in rear delts or more front delts or things to make your shoulders stronger. And again, it'll make it easier. Um, but yeah, like I said, Molly, like you've obviously not, you're getting into the more advanced point now of training, so it will take you longer, as I've showed by that demo, to build muscle and build strength, and it gets very slow and it gets very painful. I've been stuck on lifts for 12 months, guys, sometimes 18 months without progressive overloading. It is quite normal, so please don't stress out. Um, why have I put Christina and I know it's Nikki? I feel like I was drunk when I was writing this. Like, I know this is you, Nikki, but I've put Christina. What is everyone's names wrong? Surely not everyone's name's wrong. I think it's because when I'm going back on the Calendly invite, I must like, I don't know what I'm doing, but anyway, sorry, Nikki. Heading off to the Lake District at half term. We'll be out most days walking the mountains. Any advice on what to eat to stay on track, but also not be cooking chicken and shredding it whilst on holiday. Any handy snacks when the hunger kicks in most days and the weather permitting, we'll be about 8 to 10 miles. Yeah, also if you want to get step count motivation, just do a fundraiser like Nikki. I will run some small step competitions. I know I've been pretty slack on competitions this year. It's just been so busy. But obviously, as the nights creep a little bit darker and it gets a little bit harder, that's when I'm going to do a step competition. So you've all got something to aim for. But again, I've just put some advice in here. Again, no need to cook or prep chicken. So things like rotisserie chickens. Rotisserie chickens are great. I just don't want people eating them all the time out of habit because obviously they're high in salt, they're high in sugar, they've usually got stuffing in them, they've got a lot of seasonings on them. They're not terrible, don't get me wrong, like it's still a good option, but when you're tracking it, it's quite hard because if you're scanning it, it might not be accurate because you might be eating the wing, you might be eating the breast, you might be eating the thigh. And I'm probably thinking, oh, does it really matter? But when comes to fat loss, you do want to be aware of your macros. But when it comes to things like this, Nikki, rotisserie chicken, perfect. Um, Pre-packed boiled eggs, smoked salmon, canned tuna, quick carbs, microwavable rice pouches, wholemeal wraps, bread rolls. Again, things like salad bags, cherry tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, bananas. I mean, kiwis if you can eat the skin, oranges, like things that you can just peel, which are good. But when it comes to uh pre-packed, a rotisserie chicken's going to be your best friend, and you can just literally carry it in your backpack. There's many a times I've just carried a whole rotisserie chicken up a mountain, and we've all just caved in like cavemen, and just taken a loaf of bread up, rotisserie chicken, and a bag of salad, and then feeds everyone. Um, so things like wholemeal wrap, pre-cooked chicken, salad, hummus, tuna pouch, microwavable pouch, and side salad, or Greek yogurt, berries, and a handful of nuts. So there's things you can do there. Um, High protein portable snacks, jerky, beef jerky is a great one. Protein bars, like I said, boiled eggs. Boiled eggs are great. You can leave this shit on and they're pretty like robust. They're not gonna like spill everywhere. Nuts and seeds, string cheese, baby bells, bananas, again, fruits. Dried fruit is pretty good. Nikki, I'd suggest that on a big hike because the sugar release is very quick. I don't eat people eating dried fruit for the sake of it, but it is quite good as a sugar release. Or maybe just take up some normal sweets. They're not going to harm you on a walk. Keep a small snack bag in your backpack so you can eat before hunger hits. Again, try not to get absolutely starving. I remember like as a kid, my mum would take me on these massive hikes and these massive bike rides. We've obviously we've packed lunch, but we couldn't eat until we stopped. And I remember being so hungry, and then like you eat it, and then after you're like, I don't want to cycle back, I don't want to walk back, because you've got too tired. You've not eaten enough, so again, keep your energy levels up. Um, Hydration is crucial. Obviously, electrolyte tablets. If you're going to be hot on sweating, I would advise that just to replace your salts. Breakfast, you can get the porridge pots. I don't know if you've got access to a kettle, but they're really, really easy. You can just pour hot water in, and you can just take a little bag of protein powder or Greek yogurt, and you can just mix it in. Lunch, again, wraps, salad pots, sandwiches, snacks every 2 to 3 hours. And dinner, if you can have a cooked meal if you've got access, but you've got things like soup, healthy takeaway. So I hope there's enough ideas there to get you started, Nikki. Um, or for anyone else who's going on any big walks or going out for the day. I think that's a wrap. Yay. If there's any other questions, let me know, guys. Thank you for all joining live. I was absolutely going to lose my head when I had two people booked on till last week. I thought I'm going to kill them all. But you've made up for it and you've been very interactive. You asked loads of questions, which is great. Um, like I said, anything you want to discuss with me, let me know. This will be available on record should you need it. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your evening. My pleasure. Bye bye, guys.